Moving on to Sierra Leone, they just finished the runoff of their presidential election. By the way, they've been on it since March 7th. Apparently, there was mass rigging during the first election on March 7th. In fact, the electoral body reported that there were more votes than the number of voters that were registered at 231 polling stations. That's like massive rigging. Now, this apparently happened at the ruling party's stronghold, which makes a lot of people say that this ruling party is not ready to leave power. So the present president has served 2 terms, so he has to leave. The thing that upsets a lot of Sierra Leoneans is the fact that the president handpicked his own successor. Can you imagine? So this is the man that the president handpicked, 66-year-old Samura Kamara. He was the former governor of Central Bank in Sierra Leone, also the former minister of finance, and since 2012 he's been the minister of foreign affairs. He's running under the president's party, that is All People's Congress, APC. The trouble is that the president has recently made himself the chairman of his party for life. And as the chairman, he can do and undo. The way it works in Sierra Leone is if the chairman of the party fires a member of the party, that party member has to step down from his or her office. If this man wins the election and he refuses to cooperate with the outgoing president as the chairman of the party can just fire him. That means he will have to step down as the president of the country. So a lot of Sierra Leoneans are like, no, this man is looking for somebody that he can control. Keep in mind, by the way, that people are not happy with this outgoing president for the last 10 years. A lot of people have asked all kinds of questions. What happened to the Ebola money? You know, people donated millions of dollars during the Ebola outbreak. Not only that, the mudslide that happened in Sierra Leone, people are asking, what did you do with the money that was donated? So there's been a lot of corruption issues. Meanwhile, this is the opposition candidate, 53-year-old Julius Maada Bio. He's a retired brigadier in the Sierra Leone military, and he has participated in 2 coups. He was part of the 1992 coup in Sierra Leone, and also he was the leader of the 1996 coup, during which he became the military head of state from January to March of 1996. He also ran for president in 2011 against the present president, but he did not win. His present wife is Gambian, by the way. Shout out to Gambian people. Okay, so I would never advocate for coup anytime, any day, and I don't think that military should take over. So the first coup, apparently a lot of Sierra Leoneans applauded the fact that he was part of that coup because they overthrew a political party that had been in power for 25 years. The APC government wasn't doing much for the people. A lot of people were complaining that they didn't fix the roads, there was no running water, workers were owed salaries, and also the education system was nothing to write home about, as well as the economy. So some Sierra Leoneans were actually celebrating that the army took over at that time.
Down with corruption, down with the APC regime.
I think the soldiers took the right step because nobody was going to uproot this system that had oppressed the people for the past 2 decades.
So the problems of the last government could be summed up briefly as one which condoned corruption, nepotism.
And he did this under the National Provisional Ruling Council, NPRC. That's a military junta government that overthrew the APC government. And it was a bloodless coup. And then the second coup that he participated in was actually when the military was supposed to hand over to a democratic government. They were getting ready for the general election in 1986 at that time. They were supposed to have a multi-party election. However, according to him, he found out that his boss in the army was not willing to hand over power. That was why he staged the coup to overthrow his boss, and he made sure that they actually had a democratic election. I respect the fact that he was only there as the head of state for 2 months when he could have said, I'm not going anywhere, or give me 6 months to get the election ready, and he handed over to a democratic government. However, he is still not my #1 candidate because when I had him speaking in some interviews, I was like, dude.
Education is not cheap. You can't just say that by blocking up these holes, you can actually pay for free primary and secondary education.
We have worked the mathematics.
But what's your ballpark figure?
I cannot put that now, but I have worked the mechanics.
I was like, dude.
Surely it's 3 months to election.
No.
You should know how much it costs to educate young people.
So what we have done is, what I don't have here as I sit here now, like I cannot just speak or I can't just give to you, is the exact number.
Get it together. By the way, he was the one that won the March 7th election, despite the fact that the ruling party rigged in 231 polling stations, and then the result of the election was cancelled. A runoff was fixed for March 22nd, but that did not happen, and then they postponed it to March 31st. So right now, we're waiting for the result of the election. Sierra Leone is about to get a new president. I'll be sure to keep you guys posted on the result of this election. You guys know I don't know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real.